The topic of today's video is going to be jungling mistakes. These are 5 mistakes that I will typically see a solo queue jungler make, and I'm going to talk about why I think they are mistakes. The first mistake I commonly see a solo queue jungler make is overstaying in the first gank. This is a big, I know you're just trying to help your lane out, and I know you're just trying to win the game, but really there's 10 minutes in a Pokemon Unite game and you need to make every second count, especially if you're the jungler. So here I saw that their jungler was bottom. Now I try to play with a tilt-free mindset. So because of that, they've seen me top lane, they think they can overcommit, but because you've got those speed berries there, I quickly rush down and we're actually able to capitalize really well here. Now I don't go for the kill, I go for the safe player score, and then I'm straight away backing out. Okay, I accidentally take this Altaria. Typically that's something you want to leave for your laner. Here you can see I'm lowering that in DD, and I zoom back straight to the jungle. So I'm not overstaying the gank, that way you've helped your lane out, and you can continue to get ahead as the jungler, because you want to stay on top of levels. Now this leads me into mistake number 2, which some of you might not think is a mistake, but I think typically in the solo queue it's using stacking items. Okay, because if you're using stacking items, typically you're going to be overstaying in the lane for that gank, and that's really not a great thing, okay, because you want to get to these middle Bs here by the time you've done your second jungle clear. Now I'm actually a little bit late. I technically overstayed, in my opinion, in that lane, just a smidge too long, just 1 second too long. Now Pokemon Unite is a game where 1 second matters, okay, you need to be in the right places at the right times, so you need to learn those timings. Okay, now having talked about that, this kind of leads me to mistake number 3, just with timings of the game, is that junglers, a lot of the time they can be a little bit too obsessed with kills or a little bit too obsessed with objectives. And you've got to remember, you're the jungler. That last fight at the 2-minute mark, that's what matters the most. So I technically call this mistake not focusing on levels between the 7-minute mark and the, let's call it the 2.5-minute mark. Okay, that's investment time. Pokemon Unite, I kind of think of it as a game of basketball where you've got that first quarter, it's the setup. You're trying to get a lead for your team. Okay, it's not going to win you the game, but getting an early lead's nice because it alleviates the stress. And then you want to finish strong. So that's that 4th quarter. That's that Rayquaza fight. These middle 2 quarters, I think of it as investment. Yes, you want to win objectives. Yes, you want to make sure you're getting some kills, but you want to focus on your experience. You want to pick the right fights. Okay, you'll see throughout this gameplay, I don't think I die once. I'm always picking the correct fights, and I'm not great. Here I've got my buffs up. If one of my teammates want to take the buffs, that's totally fine, because from these points here, really all it is its experience. Okay, now again, you're going to see times throughout the game where I do get lucky. My team does back me up pretty well, but throughout this time period, I'm purely focused on levels. Yes, they could have scored in the top lane, and yes, you want to keep maneuvering between top and bottom lane and getting kills, but when you get ahead, you stay ahead. Don't let them kill you. See there, I back out, because if they kill me at level 12 at that 5-minute mark, they get so much catch-up experience. Okay, you let them take all the farm you want, just don't die. And then when they over-push, then you can return fire, because you've got that lead. So again, big mistake is not focusing on those levels. You want to focus on those levels and make sure you're not giving them back. Objectives will come if you follow that. Now, mistake number 4 is this typically happens at the start, and it's when you get invaded. Okay, now this is rare and it's really tough and it's so frustrating. Believe me, I've been there. It's when you get invaded, don't contest the invader for the buff. Press them and just spam that gather here button in the solo queue. Okay, because hopefully you've got a teammate who will respond, but you do not want to be pressing. You don't want to be trying to out-secure, because chances are, if you're a score bunny that early on Cinderace, you're not going to win. So you need to make sure that you're putting damage on them, so when one of your teammates hopefully comes to support, then you can get that kill. So you end up with the buff. Yes, you're a little bit behind, but that's the nature of an invader. Remember, they're sacrificing having 1 person in a lane instead of 2. So you're going to be getting value somewhere else, and you need to maximize the value that you can get out of that. Okay, and this brings me to my last mistake that I see junglers make, and it's grieving over the buffs after the first 2 to 3 rotations. Okay, in my opinion, in solo queue, there is enough experience on this map to hit level 15. Yes, it's frustrating when someone else takes your buff. Is it right of them to do it? Probably not. They should be yours, but don't grief over it. Don't spam thanks. Don't spam retreat. Okay, your lane is probably like, they're probably a little bit stressed. They probably need the experience. So I can understand it. Yes, it's frustrating. No, it is not at all right of them. I'm not saying, you know, it's their buff or anything like that. All I'm saying is, you need to come from a place of understanding. They might be struggling for experience. There's so much, like on the Zapdos map, way more important to get those buffs. But on this map, not so much. Okay, I don't think so. Okay, there's so much experience. All you need to do is you just need to look elsewhere. There's going to be Indeedys, there's going to be bees. Okay, there's other experience. It's not worth grieving and putting a sour mentality in your team, because remember, you've got to come together at this last fight. You guys need to work together. Okay, and if someone's tilted throughout the game, that's really, it's not going to work out well. Okay, because all you need is one person to screw up at this Ray fight. If you're in a quality Masters lobby, you need your team to not be tilting. Okay, it's super important. As you can see in this gameplay, that was the first death that I had, which is super frustrating. I was so annoyed at myself. I was lucky that my team was able to carry me. If you found some of these mistakes useful and you're going to fix up, let me know, and have a nice one.